Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most common but maybe least understood parts of IVF treatment, all that constant hormone monitoring. So, if you're going through IVF, you've probably asked yourself this a million times. Why so many blood tests? It can feel absolutely relentless, right? Well, today we're going to dive into why every single one of those tests is actually a huge deal. Here's the best way to think about it. It's not just a test, it's a conversation. Your doctor is literally talking to your body, and you know what language they're using? Hormones. By listening in, they can tweak your treatment in real time, making it perfect just for you. Okay, so let's get into it. The way an IVF cycle starts is absolutely crucial. It sets the stage for everything that comes next. The number one goal, synchronization. We've got to get all those potential eggs lined up at the very same starting line. You might hear this term thrown around, random start. But let me tell you, it's anything but random. It's actually super strategic. It's all about finding that perfect moment when your body has already done the hard work and lined up a great group of follicles, all ready to grow together. But what happens when you go in for that first scan? And there it is, a big old follicle just hanging out from your last cycle. I know that can be super worrying. But what if it's not a bad thing? What if it's actually a good thing? You heard me right. Experts actually see this leftover follicle as a little helper. See, it's busy releasing estrogen, which works like a natural pre-treatment. It basically tells all the smaller follicles, hey, hold up, wait for me, and gets them all perfectly synchronized. No extra meds needed. It's pretty amazing. And this brings up a really interesting point about different ways to get started. When you use estrogen for pre-treatment, it actually helps build up a nice, healthy reserve of LH, which is like the fuel for follicle growth. On the other hand, birth control pills, well, they can sometimes suppress that LH a little too much, right when you're about to hit the gas. All right, so once the race has started, that conversation with your body gets even more intense. We're now in the middle of the stimulation phase, and this is where that real-time feedback from your hormones becomes everything. It guides all the little and big adjustments along the way. So, around day 6, your doctor is watching for one really important signal. They want to see that estrogen level climbing nice and steady. That's the best sign they can get that your follicles are loving the medication and growing together, just like they're supposed to. But, as those follicles get bigger and bigger, there's a risk, right? The risk of them jumping the gun and ovulating too early. So while everyone's cheering for estrogen to go up, there's another hormone they're watching like a hawk to make sure the race doesn't end before we get to the finish line. And that hormone is LH, luteinizing hormone. Now, for a lot of people, LH is kind of the villain of the story, right? The thing you're terrified will surge and ruin everything. But the truth is way more interesting than that. In fact, you might be surprised to hear that experts don't see LH as the villain at all. They see it as a friend. A healthy, controlled level of LH isn't just okay, it's essential. It's one of the good guys in this whole process. So it's really a tale of two LHs. Yeah, if it surges too high, too early, that can end the cycle. Game over. But, and this is a huge but, having just enough LH is absolutely critical. It's the raw material your body needs to make high-quality eggs. So the goal isn't to get rid of it. The goal is to keep it in that perfect sweet spot. Okay, we're nearing the finish line now. In these last few days, that hormonal conversation is more important than ever, because it's about to guide one of the biggest decisions of the entire cycle, exactly when to pull the trigger. All right, let's talk about another big stressor. You get to trigger day, you do your blood work, and your progesterone is starting to go up. For a long time, that was seen as a really bad sign. But guess what? We've totally flipped the script on that idea. So instead of a red flag, think of it as a victory lap. That rising progesterone is actually a sign that your follicles are working at peak performance. They're so healthy and efficient that they're just making a little extra. It's one of the best signs you can get that you're going to have a great number of mature eggs. Now, that progesterone doesn't hurt your eggs one bit, but it can affect your uterine lining, kind of making it out of sync for a fresh transfer. So that one little number becomes the key piece of information your doctor needs to make a big call. Go for a fresh transfer or freeze those amazing embryos for a later cycle when the timing is perfect. It's all about giving that embryo the absolute best chance. And for most people, that magic number is around 1.5. If your progesterone creeps up above 1.5 nanograms per milliliter, that's the clear signal. It tells the team that planning for a frozen transfer is the smartest move for the best shot at success.
Okay, so let's zoom out and tie this all together. Why does this whole hidden conversation matter so much? Well, it's simple. It's what turns a cookie-cutter protocol into a journey that is 100% tailored to you.
Think about it. Every single one of those blood tests is a decision point. It tells your doctor the best day to start. It guides their hand on medication doses. It helps them stop premature ovulation in its tracks. It helps them nail the timing of that trigger shot. It informs that massive fresh versus frozen decision. And it even gives you a high five, signaling you've got a great batch of mature eggs on the way.
The big takeaway here is this. Modern IVF isn't a rigid, one-size-fits-all recipe. Not at all. It's a dynamic partnership between you, your body, and your medical team. Every test is a chance for them to listen to what your body is saying and adjust the plan, making it better and smarter every step of the way.
So how does knowing all this change things? The next time you're sitting in that chair for a blood draw, maybe it won't feel like just another procedure. Maybe you'll see it for what it really is, a conversation, the very thing that turns this tough clinical process into your own empowered, collaborative journey.